community.
Welcome to your Hometown News. I'm April Frelke with my co-host Joe Minnie, and we've got a fun show tonight.
Yes, it's jam-packed. We got interview after interview after interview.
And we got Aaron Scott, who just came back from The Voice. We're so excited to have him on here. And Nick's going to come in from Tennessee, and you've got this football thing.
Get to talk about football.
Pam Buchda with us about shopping and holidays, and Thanksgiving's around the corner. Wow, so much to do.
Good show.
Well, Tomah's Great Holiday Shopping Hunt starts the opening day of deer season this Saturday, November 21st at the Monroe County Fair Grounds in Tomah. And we have event coordinator Pam Buchda in studio to share the details with us. Welcome, Pam. Welcome. So good to have you.
How you doing? So this event is not only is it a holiday shopping event, it's also a fundraiser. So what organization are we fundraising for?
The City of Tomah's Cooper Rosh Senior Center. That's a big mouthful, but it's the senior center downtown.
Okay. And
so what kind of vendors, maybe start us off with, what kind of vendors are going to be there for our viewers to get out to do some of their shopping?
Well, actually, it's been changing every day this week.
I bet.
But I have about 20 vendors coming at this point. It was up to 30, but this last week there's been lots of changes. And we have vendors that do handcrafted, like dish towels and aprons and all that, and jewelry. Of course, I have a whole bag of jewelry from every year. Phenomenal jewelry, beaded ornaments. There's homemade bread going to be there. One vendor is going to have 4 flavors of homemade muffins.
So you have some food vendors then, kind of with the
crafts. It's individually wrapped at their booth.
Okay.
The food part of it, we do have a food booth.
Okay.
A food part, and that's the senior center's part. So the senior center fundraiser part is the booth, the cost of the booth from the vendors, and then what we make off of the lunch meal. And then we have a booth too that we have some crafts and things there. But the rest, the vendors just make their own money.
Right.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite part about the craft show?
Oh, looking at all the wares. I always buy jewelry every year.
So you're more of a shopper when you're there.
You look for, okay.
And I get all my, the hanging towels you have like in your kitchens and bathrooms, all of that every year I get. And this year I'm going to go Christmas shopping there.
Okay. So is there like holiday decorations too you expect with some of the vendors?
Yeah. One vendor, and I got some personalized ones last year for gifts, but she has Christmas ornaments, and then she, with different designs, and then she personalizes it with the names or whatever. Okay. And I got a Green Bay Packer one last year. I got a bird one for another.
You know, Pam, I missed that on the Crayon Fest. There was a certain person I would always go to, like a wooden ornament and have my son's name on it every year as like a collection.
So there's a vendor that does personalization.
So there's a vendor that would do that.
Oh, yes.
I think that's a fun tradition, is to give someone a personalized ornament every year. Someone in your family.
Some of our vendors have been there for years, and some are new. It's their new time.
Okay.
Some of it's because other places have closed down. So we're getting some new vendors.
Sure.
Okay. So where can people find out about where you're going to go for this event? Are you still accepting vendors? I know it's like...
Actually, I am, because one of my vendors ended up in the hospital.
I'm sorry
so I have that booth. Today I found out.
Okay.
So I have a booth or two because of some of those things that are going on behind the scenes. But Tomah's Great Holiday Shopping Hunt Facebook has the information. Okay. But I have Tomah Senior Center Facebook that has information too.
Okay, so you got 2 different Facebook pages for it. Okay.
The Tomah's Great holiday shopping hunt was in the past the United Methodist Church, ACT Theater,
Oh, okay, ACT.
and
Yep.
us, and anyone else that had craft sales that day. We came together and did marketing together.
Okay.
And ACT and Methodist Church and American Legion aren't doing it this year.
Oh, good luck with everything.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fun.
Thank you for taking time with us.
Well, the catering for the cast and crew was provided by Marco's Italian and American Grill in Warrens. Great food with a fun and relaxing atmosphere at Marco's. For those who watch The Voice, our next guest is the one and only Aaron Scott. But first, we want to thank our program sponsors.
Your hometown news is brought to you by Oakdale
you
Credit
didn't know it.
Union,
You're like, whoa, wait.
Hardware Hank in New Lisbon, The Fun Company Game Room Store, and the Little Cottage Home Decor and more in New Lisbon.
Hardware Hank knows you have projects, lots of important projects, from paint to plumbing, electrical, and yard maintenance. We have the area's largest selection of Milwaukee tools. Hey, it's what the pros use. We even have an in-store chainsaw sharpening service. It's time to build your property's value with Hardware Hank New Lisbon.
You've got a lot more going for you with Hank, Hardware Hank.
The Oakdale Credit Union has spent decades serving Oakdale, Mauston, and Reedsburg. From comprehensive financial services to reliable mortgage loans, we strive to provide unparalleled care.
I like the warm and friendly atmosphere each and every time I come in. The staff is very knowledgeable and truly cares about its members.
Come and learn more about the Oakdale Credit Union, where we treat you like a member of the family.
Your health is important to us at Tomah Health, and by taking a few steps like wearing a mask and social distancing, you can help stop the spread to keep our community safe and well. To protect our community, we're offering Video Visit. Video Visit provides secure face-to-face access to a board-certified medical provider online to assess specific medical conditions and prescribe common medications. The service is easy to access and available Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Learn more about Video Visit at tomahhealth.org.
Relax at Marco's Italian and American Grill in Warrens, Wisconsin.
When it's over, so they say, it'll rain a sunny day, and I know it's shining down like water.
Well, that singer is none other than our next guest, the lead singer for the band One Way North, recently performing on The Voice. Welcome to our program, Aaron Scott. So great to have you.
It's great to have you here.
And congratulations.
Thank you very much.
So I want to start because I watched you at the battle, and at the end of the battle, you said to Blake. So I want to know about how that was working with him. You said, if you're ever hunting, you want to come out to Wisconsin, you can come out and hunt. I was like, what? That is so great. I mean, that was so cool. But I was like, wow. I was like, wow, Aaron.
So I did get in a little trouble for that statement.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I did, because my dad was there watching with me, and I totally forgot that I made that comment to Blake.
Yeah.
And of course, the land I'm referring to is actually my dad's land. So he looked at me like, really? Like, I didn't have a say in this. So it was kind of funny in of itself. But just that relationship with Blake. I mean, when it came back to the blinds, and they were telling you, like, just make sure you feel like you're going with your gut on who you pick for your coach. And so I think the thing that really stood out between Blake and John Legend was that I felt like I was talking to a hunting buddy with Blake, and so that kind of really fed into that. I kind of know a little bit about Blake. He likes hunting too. He's on quite a few hunting shows himself, and just there's a lot of things he actually does know about our area. So like I had one conversation where he was able to bring up, isn't like Matthews Bowes based out of like right by you there? So it's like he does know a lot about hunting and two, our area. So
that's awesome.
It was really cool to have that, that camaraderie and just that comfort, just to just be that kind of person, because that's exactly who I am off camera. That's exactly who he is off camera. So it felt natural even in that setting.
That's great. So getting on The Voice, can you tell us what was that journey? How did you get to the audition? What got you there?
Yeah, as you know, I've been singing with One Way North since 2015, writing music, just that whole experience, just performing, kind of got me really comfortable just in generally my stage presence, what I can do vocally, kind of honing into that. And then the whole process throughout the whole way, people were saying to me, you should try out for The Voice, man. Like you really you have that voice. But I would say that there was quite a bit of self-doubt. You just think, I'm just a Tomah guy. I'm just, that kind of stage in Los Angeles, that just seems too crazy. I don't even know. Part of me was a little worried that I would try and fail. And so that kind of did hold me back. But it was after one of my shows in New Lisbon at the Silver Star parking lot party that my boss at the middle school, he just kind of came to me the next Monday. He said, dude, what are you doing? He's like, you have to try. You have the voice. You can do this. And that was pretty cool to see him say that. And then on another whim, my other boss at Silver Star, where I work on the weekends, he came in like 2 weeks later, and he just walked out, and he's like, hey, I got a crazy idea. What if you tried out for The Voice? And it just, like him saying it and him saying it, and they didn't have any relation. They had no communication with each other. It was just funny that they both brought it up. So the timing just felt right. And so went down in January, down to Nashville, and, did the whole audition process. And they called me back, let me do a few more songs and try out some more. Got to know a little bit more about me, had some interviews, and just from there, narrowed down the process. And eventually I got the phone call to go out to Los Angeles.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
What's your most memorable moment with your whole experience with The Voice?
Yeah, I would say the chair turn was pretty cool.
What did that feel like when you hear that button and it, like... What?
Yeah, well, in the moment, you have
because you're singing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And you go through the song 1,000 times, know, and you're getting vocal coaching, and you're so conscious, just don't miss a breath here, don't mess up the lyric here, don't miss your spot in your choreography that you try to do here, and you're so focused on the craft of doing it and performing it that you just are so locked in, and eventually you see this light up and you see a chair start turning. And especially for me, it was like 20-some seconds in, and it was John Legend. And so... That was what I was wondering. Was that a surprise that John turned first? Definitely. Yeah, and the song that I was singing, it was set up to have a really big chorus. And so I felt like if I was going to get a chair turn, it was going to be in that moment, in that first chorus. And then when John turns, before I even get to that point, I wasn't anticipating that. You hope for the best, but you also you have to be prepared for the worst, or things not going the way you want them to. And then when he turns, you have these emotions going on, but you literally have to turn. You're in that moment. Yeah, you can't lose sight of like part of me. I had a little anxiety because I was like, okay, if I mess up, does that mean John has the option of turning back around? Oh, never mind, I'm turning away. Okay. You're like, okay, I don't want to mess up. So partly some of that kind of fueled me to keep going. And then the other thing was, okay, I've already got one chair. Let's go for 2. Let's go for 3. Let's go for 4. And so. So I had a lot more comfort just to go all out, and so the emotions are like excitement, but there's also a lot of relief, but there's also just like almost like a surreal panic that you're like so amazed by what just happened that you almost lose sight of the moment, and then boom, click back in. Okay, I got to finish the song.
Wow.
Can I just jump in? Another question I'm just curious about knowing a little bit about you, Aaron. How has your faith played a part of your experience with The Voice? Yeah.
I would say a lot of people have asked for advice. Trying out for The Voice, what do you think you need to do to be prepared? And of course there's the obvious, you need to be really, really locked into your vocals and your ability and stage presence and be comfortable in that kind of a setting. But there is another element of the emotional and spiritual health that you need to have in check, because there's a lot of exposure that this creates. There's a lot of communication, people from all over the country, all over the world are sending me messages and talking to me, and if you don't have a good grounding, you could really, lose perspective. And I think that my faith has definitely contributed to me keeping my eye on the bigger picture of what really the significance of all this is. And I think the thing that my faith has also given me the courage to do is to speak out about my own struggles that I've had along the way. And just like, what I've needed to overcome those things. And my faith has definitely been a big part of that. And then I think, in turn, being able to create opportunity to communicate with people about my struggles gives people, an understanding and something that they can relate to. Because when you open up about that stuff, and then people feed back to you that they're suffering from that too, especially in 2020, everybody's going through this to some degree. And so to come out and say, yeah, I've struggled with mental illness, I've struggled with, my own anxieties and things like that, and all this has really come to a head where now I can create an opportunity to give joy to people and give them encouragement.
Well, thank you. You've definitely been a role model locally, and I know everybody's been looking up to you, but we want to just thank you for coming on and telling us about your story. So up next, we'll be coming right back in a couple minutes, but I'm going to talk about football, so come right back.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Your health is important to us at Tomah Health, and by taking a few steps like wearing a mask and social distancing, you can help stop the spread to keep our community safe and well. To protect our community, we're offering Video Visit. Video Visit provides secure face-to-face access to a board-certified medical provider online to assess specific medical conditions and prescribe common medications. The service is easy to access and available Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Learn more about Video Visit at tomahhealth.org.
This hot tub is so relaxing. The stress of the week just melts away.
Hanging out with friends is fun.
And we have so many reasons to get together.
My Traeger grill is the difference between a good
And an amazing barbecue.
The Fun Company Game Room Store
Is where the fun begins. What's the more in the little cottage home decor and more? Fashion. Shopping is fun at the little cottage. Update your look and discover more at the little cottage home decor and more, New Lisbon.
The Oakdale Credit Union has spent decades serving Oakdale, Mauston, and Reedsburg. From comprehensive financial services to reliable mortgage loans, we strive to provide unparalleled care.
I like the warm and friendly atmosphere each and every time I come in. The staff is very knowledgeable and truly cares about its members.
Come and learn more about the Oakdale Credit Union, where we treat you like a member of the family.
You're watching Lynxx 24, connecting you to the community.
Well, football season is in full swing, and due to COVID, the average football fan who likes to go to the games really can't, especially the Packer fans. So what better way can you stay involved in being a spectator than getting involved in fantasy football? And I've been playing fantasy football, I want to say, since 1997. So I've been...
97?
Yes.
Over 2 decades?
Yes. And it's kind of grown over the years, and there are so many people playing it now. So there's so many outlets that you can get a lot more information. Okay. Back in 97, we were going to newspapers to get our scores and our stuff like that. So now it's all readily available.
Okay, so Joe's fantasy football. I do have a son in his 20s that does some fantasy football. I hear about football. What is fantasy? What is it? Like, what are you guys doing?
Okay, so the ultimate fantasy...
It's not like fantasy... What I think of the cruise ship,
yeah,
right?
it's not Fantasy Island.
The Fantasy Island.
No.
What is it?
So basically, we pretend we're GMs of a football team.
General managers?
General manager, yeah.
Okay.
So we get together with 10, 12 buddies, and we have a league, and then we will draft players in the NFL that are currently playing.
Okay,
and
so you're using real names.
Yeah, we're assembling players, and you know, Packer fans, they're like, well, maybe I'll get Aaron Rodgers because he's a decent quarterback. Well, I'll put him on my team, and then maybe there's another running back that, you know, like Minnesota Vikings. You know, they have Dalvin Cook.
Are you creating a little team for you?
So you're creating a roster of individual offensive players that score points during a normal football game, plus a kicker and maybe a defense or vice versa. Some people don't like kickers, but others do. But the element of the game is it's unpredictable. So you think, you know, the sports bookies, they think, well, there's going to be so many points per game. Well, you kind of look at that, but the matchups can be different because some teams are good, but they're really good at a certain angle of the defense, and like maybe they can shut down your running back. So you have to win through the air.
So you get points based on what that specific player did during that game, regardless of
the outcome of the game itself.
Okay.
Yes. So
just
if the Packers lose,
that personal person's performance.
Right. So, yeah. Like for example, if the Packers lose, which is usually a good thing.
Okay.
But if Aaron Rodgers throws for
viewers, Joe is a Chicago Bear fan. Sorry, I just want to throw that in there.
But I would like to have Aaron Rodgers on my roster because he throws 3 to 4 touchdowns in a game.
His statistics are good for him as a single quarterback.
Right. And so you'll kind of break those. That homer mentality of just your team. You actually branch out and you become a fan of all the teams Because they have specific players on
Now,
them.
is there money? Like, there's real money involved, too, isn't there, in some levels of fantasy football?
There are varying levels. So you can get in and just have a fun family league with a bunch of friends and relatives.
For free.
For free, and just do it. And there's a lot of websites that allow that.
So, like, some women do the Bachelorette.
Yes.
They say what guys are gonna be left.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so that's my realm.
Well, we try to predict, what player is going to last the full 16 games of the season. And we try to be engaged for that.
What if somebody gets injured? What happens then?
Well, that's just like in real football. What do you got to do? Well, it's the next man up. So you have to. We get a starting roster, and then we usually have about 5 or 6 bench players that would be a possible replacement for that player. And we even have an injured reserve, an IR, so we have a couple spots for that too. And now with COVID, we actually have a couple spots if they get sick. It's 2 weeks, we're out of that player, so we can put them down in the IR and then pick somebody up.
Do you have a special name for yourself as the general manager? Are you Joe Manager? Who are you, Joe? In real life.
The league I'm in, I kind of have a locker room name. I really can't say over the air, but
Joe, you are worse than Nick.
Yeah, so it has a lot of Mike Ditka is involved in that. So, but we do have fun, and if you do succeed and you go to the fantasy football playoffs and you win that championship, it is such a big thing to brag about, especially with your friends. It's like you get to carry that trophy for the next year until the next football season comes in. And then, obviously we have, penalties for people that finish last. So it's all fun. But there is some people that get really involved. There's some big money stuff out there, but local games are about when you can get guys together and physically draft together, it's a lot more fun than just doing it online and stuff like that.
Okay, so everyone's in the same room with a lot of pizza and wings.
It's an event.
And lots of lemon water and just really healthy snacks.
Oh, yeah. And it's right before the season starts, and you just get all pumped up for it. So it's really fun. And nowadays, it just gets you more involved and that's going. So.
How many people are in it, do you think? Like, what's the fantasy football league total? Is it millions? Like,
I would say
7 million people?
30, 40 million, easy.
30, 40?
Yeah.
Like 30, 40?
Yeah.
Okay.
But we have to wrap this up, and Nick is coming back with us with his Moments in History coming up next.
What's the more in the little cottage home decor and more? Fashion. Shopping is fun at the little cottage. Your look and discover more at the Little Cottage Home Decor and More, New Lisbon.
The Oakdale Credit Union has spent decades serving Oakdale, Mauston, and Reedsburg. From comprehensive financial services to reliable mortgage loans, we strive to provide unparalleled care.
I like the warm and friendly atmosphere each and every time I come in. The staff is very knowledgeable and truly cares about its members.
Come and learn more about the Oakdale Credit Union, where we treat you like a member of the family.
Hardware Hank knows you have projects, lots of important projects, from paint to plumbing, electrical, and yard maintenance. We have the area's largest selection of Milwaukee tools. Hey, it's what the pros use. We even have an in-store chainsaw sharpening service. It's time to build your property's value with Hardware Hank New Lisbon.
You've got a lot more going for you with Hank, Hardware Hank.
This hot tub is so relaxing. The stress of the week just melts away.
Hanging out with friends is fun.
And we have so many reasons to get together.
My Traeger grill is the difference between a good
and an amazing barbecue.
The Fun Company Game Room Store
is where the fun begins.
You are watching Lynxx 24, connecting you to your community.
Well, hello, Joe. Hi, April.
Welcome,
Nick.
Nick.
Welcome to this day in history.
Yeah.
Hey, today we celebrate the delivery of, guess what? The Gettysburg Address by Abraham Lincoln, way back in 1863. Now, most of you remember it by a few famous lines like 70 years ago at the beginning of the speech, or the government of the people, by the people, for the people, was the end of the speech. So let's talk about this a little bit. It was about midway of the Civil War, and just a few months after the North won important battles of not only Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, but Vicksburg, Mississippi. In fact, both of those battles ended just about around July 4th, 100 years, well, was it 7 years, whatever ago, of that year. Well, Lincoln was feeling at this point that the war direction might be changing for the North, with about 50,000 dead or wounded on both sides. Wow. Gettysburg had the largest amount of casualties of the war at that time. And in fact, it still held true. And it was decided at the time to dedicate a national cemetery, okay, actually the one before the one in Washington, D.C., at this site, which was the scene of so much carnage just 4 months before. So about 15,000 people showed up on that chilly November day to listen to a 2-hour speech by a local orator, after which Mr. Lincoln had been invited to perform the dedication on behalf of the nation. His 2-minute speech reminded the listeners of the signing of the Declaration of Independence, not the Constitution, mind you, but he went back to that Declaration of Independence. And he talks about the current war as a test of the nation that emerged from the original War of Independence, the Revolutionary War. It's become one of the most influential speeches in our history in just 271 words. Can you imagine that? No one talks that little these days. The entire speech, by the way, is carved into the base of the south wall of the Lincoln Memorial in Washington. While the Gettysburg Address might be the most prominent historical event of this day, guys, it wasn't the only one. So I'll just throw you a couple of non-related events, but happened here on the same day, the 19th of November. I'll spare you the years, okay? That tends to confuse us a little bit, but I'll assume you know the subjects. Hey, the pencil was patented on this day. The Mayflower arrived at this day. Lewis and Clark reached the Pacific Ocean, okay, for the first time. First time there, you got coast-to-coast tourists, if you will. Columbus discovered Puerto Rico on his second trip to this hemisphere on this day. And a little known thing here, the first time a mushroom appeared on a stamp. I don't know if a second one ever occurred. And finally today is that, well, I guess it is kind of related, but the Senate impeachment of President Clinton started on this day back in '98. And we all don't want to talk about things like that in the news. So there you go, guys and viewers, a little bit of something for November 19th. How's that?
Awesome.
Oh, that's so great, Nick. And I've been to the Lincoln Memorial and the Gettysburg Address. I've seen that carved into the south wall. It's absolutely beautiful.
No,
yeah, it's just an amazing. There's so much around that speech. When he wrote it back in Washington, touched it up on the train. There was a lot of controversy about where he was standing. You know, there's a couple of pictures of him kind of in that speech area. So there's an awful lot that could be studied about the Gettysburg Address, and particularly about what was going on historically and politically at the time.
Nick, why is it called an address versus like a proclamation?
I know they called it well because he was addressing the folks in this dedication. He was addressing the dedication, in effect. He was addressing the ceremony that was going on. He addressed. I guess they also look back and say he really was addressing the nation, at this time.
Nick, well, thank you so much for joining us, Nick, and thank you for joining us on your Hometown News. We're working you to the community.
Always good to see you.